Hey guys, Team MetaStorm here. Here's my top 10, I guess, 9th place regionals deck. I got 9th place at the BCS GRANDFEST regionals. And here's my player card with my day 2 stamp. Alright. So first we have my starter, Conroe. He searches for, the other Conroe or any Strive fodder or the perfect guard. Really good card. I'm really glad they brought him back. Makes the deck really consistent. Next we got Positive Draco Kid ×4. It's hollow, it's a flame dragon, and it works for Advancing Guard if you like that card. I personally don't like Advancing Guard that well, or that much, but maybe that'll change in the next meta or in the future. Okay, I run 7 crit. Janet is for Titan. It's the +5 draw card in Soul. It's a nice card. It's, pretty expensive to be perfectly honest because it's Kagero, but, with the new set, the new Kagero Blade Masters are getting support, so get them while they're cheap, I guess. Next, I run a minimum of 5 draw triggers. I don't see this deck ever being competitive without draw triggers. You just have to outdraw and outpace your opponent this way because this deck lacks power. Even though it is a hand trap deck, you need to outpace your opponent somehow, and this is the way to do it. So the best grade 0 in the game, pop into Soul, pop a grade 0 unit, one of your grade 0 or your opponent's grade 0 unit, so you can plop their the flow goals and whatnot. So it's pretty good turn 2 card. Or maybe even, turn 2. And I just run this because he's 5k, and he's a good booster for Nahalem or Burning Horn Dragon. It makes numbers for 16 or 17. Alright, next we got the Staple Protect Orb. The most expensive grade 1 in the deck. It's just a PGG on flips upon activating if you have one in grave. It's a Flame Dragon as well. My favorite grade 1 that makes this deck, actually playable is Lizard General Conroe. What it does is if you pop it, you can pop it, sorry, and you give your Vanguard Overlord this a certain skill, and every time your Vanguard attacks that turn, Soul charges 2, so unflips 2. So that's pretty nice. And it's a 6k beater or booster. Not a Flame Dragon though, unfortunately. Next we got the MVP HandTrap Bellog. This can chain with Denial Griffin. It's a very good card. It disrupt plays, it's really good, it's a 5k block. You can use it as a booster if you have to because it's 6k. So you can use Burning Horn or Nahalem and it will make a column. Really good card. Next, I only use 2 Strive fodder. One is signed. The reason being is I never need a grade 3 because of the starter Conroe. So just for the next Conroe if you need it, and you can just cycle grade 3s from there. I don't see you ever missing your stride. Alright. Next is Monica. She's a 10k booster for your Vanguard, which is really pretty crucial for this deck because this deck is limited to 3 attacks without stands, obviously. And it's just a really good card, especially with Novell, which is MVP grade 4 in my opinion in this deck. Alright, move on to grade 3s. I run 3 burnouts because it's obviously clog. You never have enough soul because of the Conroe starter. But it's a really good card. It doesn't require GB. All you have to do is Soul Blast and return to Overlord grade 3 to the bottom. And you can retire any of your opponent's units. Pretty good grade 2. It's a 9k. Next we got the best grade 2 in the deck. So this deck only has singular attacks for each column. So what you need is power, obviously. You have Hand Trap and you have Retire. But this guy makes the deck playable as well. It gets +5 every time your grade 4 Kagero or Overlord attacks. Whenever he attacks, he gets +5. And he gets +2 for GB. So it's a 16k by himself. 16k beater. 21 if you run a a restanding Vanguard, which you do, like the Ace for example, or maybe the Legend. Right, 4 of those. I'd run 8 if I could. Okay, now it's gonna get a little weird. These are my personal techs that actually really worked and won me a couple games in the regionals. So 2 Hook Roar Dragons. This is a really interesting tech. It's very cost heavy. It counterblast 2, it chain retires. So if you retire a unit using one of your card's effects, for example, if you do Denial Griffin during your opponent's turn, you can activate his effect if he's on the field to retire another unit. So you get rid of the 2 attacking rear guards, which you only have to deal with the Vanguard that turn. So him comboed with this, it's just really busted. So you retire this card, give your Vanguard Overlord, the effect, and you unflip 2, and then you just use the 2. It's just a really good recycle. So you counterblast 2, and then you countercharge 2. So it's pretty good. I really like this card. I know a lot of people don't like this card, but I really think that made this card work. Next card's a really weird card. Dragon Dancer Arabella. It's not a Flame Dragon or anything like that. It's nothing special, honestly. It's just a 9k beater. And her skill is Counterblast 1, give a Vanguard Flame Dragon plus 5k. Which is very useful for me, because it gets plus 5k till the end of turn, which means your Legends get 5k when it restands and when it attacks. Same thing with the Ace. It gets 5k when it restands and additional 5k using Arabella. So it makes pretty good numbers. The main reason why I run her is because of this card. What you do is you control your opponent's guard. You deplete their hand, and you inspect their drive checks, and then when it's time to go, you have extra pressure here for 5k. So then you boost him to 31, and then you call out Monica for 41, and that's a 41k, no grade 1, no sentinel guard. And you only activate that when you know they don't have multiple G guards in hand. You may be able to get away with it if they have 1, but if they have none, it's pretty much a sure and win, or a hit at least, depending on how you use it. Alright, on to grade 3s and 4s. We got 2 the Legend. I don't know why people run 2 or more than 2, or I just don't understand, because this guy is searchable with Conroe. You never need more than 4. And if you ever happen to ride him once, that's the only one copy you'll ever need. Because he's a Counterblast 1 activate skill, but you can always activate skill if he's ridden on your Vanguard, and you're pretty much set for the whole game. So if God forsake, you have to re-ride him and activate skill Counterblast 1, search top 5, Soul Blast 1, that's fine, because you recycle these. So I put this in Grave, and then I recycle it with the Legion, maybe the Axe. But I don't ever think you need more than 2. Alright. It's a good card, I like it. It's kind of like a soft next stage, because you can't attack the Vanguard twice. But yeah. Oh, I missed one. Burning Horn Dragon, 9 to 12k, pretty standard. Anyways, this is my special tech. 1 Riddler Dragontic Overlord, just standard, because I never use his rearguard ability, but I always use his Vanguard ability against certain decks. If you ride him with the N, old school style, he gets +2 permanently. So meaning if I ride this at 13k, then you're really good against 7C. You're safe against Gear Chronicle, Melum attacks, or anything like that. They're forced to lose 3, 4, 5 attacks due to this 13k standard column. Just a really good card. It stops Aquaforce. It's just really nice, a really nice tech. Because you search this in the beginning. You can search these 2 cards in the beginning easily. It's just a really easy combo, and I don't think it hurts that I have this, even if I'm not playing against an optimal deck I'm using this card for. But yeah, this helped me against one of my matches against 7Cs. He just cheesed me till the end, doing 1 damage per turn, doing 4 attacks, because he didn't have Nightshade in Grave, and I just rerode into a 13k column. and he just forced to just hit me for 5k guards, which is not a problem for me. And then I just finished him with the end attacks, restanding Vanguard, because you know you have Conroe. So that was pretty nice. So next, I run 3 of the X, 3 of the N, because you really only run the X for durability. So if you're playing, if you made it late game, then this is a viable option. If you have like maybe, for example, 4 cards left in deck, you can easily recycle 2-3 cards back in deck over and over, just to survive a couple more turns if your opponent's turns are soft. And these are pretty self-explanatory. I never need more than 3 and 3 because they all cycle. You can grab them anytime you want, to be perfectly honest with you, with this deck. It's just a really good combination, really good synergy. I will be providing 4 if you do buy this deck, because I am selling this deck on eBay. I'm going to list the link at the end of this video, or in the description. So next I run 4 of the Ace. Self-explanatory. It loses 1 drive check. But it does attack twice, and you can attack the Vanguard twice. All you have to do is discard an Overlord card, grade 3, as well as a random card, which is pretty darn good because you can combo this with Nahalem. And another thing, if you have 4 counterblasts, because this is a GB2 skill, you can easily just flip himself for counterblasting 2, and it only loses the single drive for the 1 condition, and it can still activate its effect turn 1. Which is pretty good. Sometimes you need that, sometimes it works. Next we got the standard Titans. I don't really like it in this deck, but you know, there's no other better grade 4s. It's a 4 of, it gains a crit if you activate this effect. It's a GB2 skill as well. For as many Titans as you have in your face down G zone, you can retire up to that amount in your opponent's rear guards, or yeah, your opponent's zone. So if you have 2 play faced up and you play him and you activate, it gains a crit because you're going to retire 2 of your opponent's rear guards and you're going to be ahead, and it will gain this crit. And that's pretty much it. I mean, just perfect art, this guy, to be perfectly honest with you. He's also a very expensive card. Next I run the GB8. This GB8 I like a lot in this deck. I like this GB8. I usually don't really like the GB8s besides Ghost Ship and such, but this one's actually good because it requires no counterblast. What it does, it retires your opponent's whole field, and it gives your whole field every single of your rear guards for, or they all gain 10k or 10,000 attack. And if he retires up to more than 3 or more of your opponent's rear guards, then he gets an additional plus 10k and critical, which is nice because it's a free skill if you make it late game, which you probably will because you run hand traps and you play it right. He gets plus 10 and crit if you retire up to 3. It's just a nice card. It adds us plus 10. It's kind of like a little bit. It kind of reminds me of Gurglet, but just, you know, free. That's a nice late game. Run Vortex Dragon, Desire. This is just my favorite first stride because it just adds a little tiny extra pressure. It's not a very good first stride, to be honest, but the activated skill, when he attacks, you just flip over a Titan. Or next turn, if you want a Titan or ride Titan, which you know you probably most likely will be doing, you unflip himself again and you retire up to 2 and he ends his crit. But his skill is when he attacks you, G flip 1. If he does hit, you could retire up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards, which is pretty nice because most likely your opponent's planning to conserve their guards and, you know, take the first stride hit. But with this guy, it's just a nice little added pressure, little setup play. But I don't know, this deck excels in GB2, but yeah, this is the best GB or first stride in my opinion. Next we got the G guards. MVP, the reason why I run this deck, Flame Wing Steel Beast Denial Griffin. His skill is during your opponent's turn, when this unit is placed on guard circle, you can retire the attacking rear guard of your opponent. So your opponent's attacking rear guard. The cost is Counterblast 1, which is nice because it combos with Bellog. It combos with Hulk Roar Dragon. Just really hard. It disrupts a lot of plays. It's a better Hetero Hound in my opinion. It's just a really good card. Alright, next we have the Feet Flare Dragon. You run this solely because you want your opponent to play around it. I mean, most of the time when I play high level players, they never run into it because, you know, they're playing around it. Because this card really does hurt. What it does is you Counterblast 1, you put it in guard, when it's placed on guard circle, you Counterblast 1, you retire your opponent's all their back row, so all their boosters gets retired, their whatever their setup play, laurels, anything gets retired. All you have to do is return 2 Overlord grade 3s back to the bottom of the deck, which is completely easy. Alright, next we got the last G-Guard Abyssal Orb Dragon, which gets plus 5k if your opponent has less than 5 rear guards. So if they have 4 rear guards or less, this card gets plus 5k in guard shield, which is a little nice. It's not the best, but I mean it does its job when you want to save a singular card in your hand. Anyway, it's nice. The last card is the MVP Stride in the deck, in my personal opinion. I literally use this 4 to 5 games, or my winning games at the regionals. It's Novell Divine Dragon Express. What it does is a GB2, you Counterblast 1, you flip over a copy of itself, and it gains the ability your opponent cannot guard with grade 1s, specifically grade 1s. So they can guard with grade 2s or zeros and whatnot, but it's nice to know that they can't Sentinel. So if you beef this guy up to 41k plus your trigger checks, it almost always hits. So if you set this up right, if you go the ace just to add pressure, and then you go your GB8 if you have to, and then you play this guy last, you most certainly will win if your opponent doesn't heal out. What's nice about this card is if they do heal out on their 6 damage, then it's nullified. It's one of a kind card. If they heal their 6 damage, it's nullified. It's really nice. So this is my favorite grade 4 of the deck, and I would run 4 if it had room. Alright guys, I'm going to check out. I'm going to provide a link for this deck on eBay. I'm selling it, TCG price, pretty standard, low. But if you guys have any offers or questions, just go ahead and message me. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.